Shadow Show.
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 Shadowing it.
I come in here today legitimately effervescent, thrilled, and it's not just because I'm staring right now at Mike, Billy, Chris, and Roy, and that's all I got because Amin can't get his stomach in order. And Amin is a child who evidently is late today because he can't get his stomach in order. But we have a baseball numbers story to celebrate today. And Billy Gill, in a crazy moment where he says to himself, I'm going to go to the ballpark expecting to see someone hit 2 home runs and steal a base.
Hoping to see that.
Expecting it. Buying the ticket, paying your money because you expect to be rewarded for going to the ballpark with the bet that someone's going to hit 2 home runs and steal a base. And the guy overachieves beyond those expectations and makes the Marlins ticket the best value in sports yesterday. How many people were there with you yesterday?
Oh, I mean, after the game when they resold the tickets, I'd say 45,000 at least. When the capacity is like 37. I have a bone to pick with them, but we don't need to get to that. That's for later on. That's for later on.
We don't need to get to bone picking yet.
Well, here's the thing about bone picking, okay? You got to bone pick your spots when you bone pick because you don't want to bite the hand that sometimes lets you call spring training games. So, but here's the thing, all right? If we're going to resell tickets after the game, this isn't for now. We'll talk about it later.
Samson was so happy to see them reselling tickets after the game. What happened to the guy who almost caught the ball, and what happened to the person who did get the ball and then just walked out? Evidently, Craig Mish is reporting that the person who got the historic baseball just left with it, wouldn't negotiate anything for the baseball. That seems nuts.
It's a heady play.
I saw ups and downs on those reports from Craig Mish. I believe that at first they were not discussing, and then they did discuss, and then the person decided to leave with the ball. I also had read the person was unaware of who Shohei Ohtani was that ended up with the baseball, which is simply incredible.
Which kind of makes sense. If you have no clue about it, and all of a sudden you have this thing, and everyone around you is just freaking out, I'm going to slow down a little bit, not going to make any rash decisions, going to take this thing home, and then I'm going to get all my options, and then I'll get back to you.
I like that baseball still honors that tradition because any other sport with the ball, if the ball goes into the stands, it's understood. It goes right back. People will find you and make sure you give it back.
There's so many things to talk about yesterday's game. Like, I don't know the last time we've had a baseball story that we wanted to talk about so much.
Billy, can you say we wanted to talk about so much, but all Mike and Chris want to talk about is Aaron Rodgers and Saleh bumping each other last night.
That was actually
I know what
big
that
too.
means. Like everyone, the internet thinks they know what that is. I know what that was.
I know that it's the way we cover sports today, that you guys want a Thursday night Jets game that wasn't interesting. You want to talk about a bump instead of a baseball guy who went 50-50 with the most amazing baseball game I've ever seen played by a single human being. And the only way it would have been better and bigger is if he had also pitched, which he could do if he's healthy.
It's like the inverse of Spoelstra and LeBron. In this situation, Aaron Rodgers actually achieved something that we didn't think he could do. And, of course, the Heat at that time were free-falling.
We were into that story, though, for some reason. This one doesn't do it for us?
Don't say that something you didn't think Aaron Rodgers can do. I think Aaron Rodgers can play competent quarterback for that football team. Mike's the one out here doubting that. Yes.
No, I'm not doubting that he can be competent.
That's all they need.
Okay, but don't project a false take on me. I think he can be competent. I just don't think he can be Aaron Rodgers. What is it that he did yesterday? Beat the Patriots? Come on.
No, he in an age of every quarterback is playing poorly, he's not going to make the mistakes. Like, I've got Kevin Clark rising in the industry telling me that all quarterbacks are bad because of how the defense has caught up to offense. And Aaron Rodgers, if he plays like that, can beat all of the bad teams in the league, which is what got the Dolphins into the position that they were in last year. All that team needs to do is get competent quarterback play. How did you fool me already? I want to talk about Ohtani. Not a bump.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the pride. noise. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget about peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put them in the cage, never let out the. Yeah. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I am thrilled that Marlins correspondent Billy Gill, you spent how much on a ticket to get into that historic event yesterday?
I spent $27 for my seat. There were cheaper seats, but I splurged.
Where did you
Treated
go?
myself
Where did you
bit.
go to get those tickets?
Game Time.
Yeah. Were you a new customer?
No, I've used Game Time so often that I couldn't use the promo code, unfortunately, but you can.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can, listening in the audience right now. Promo code Dan. Create an account. You get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. Chris Cody, what time is it?
Game time.
Billy, $27 for how good a ticket? Because for all the historic stuff yesterday, that's the first time a Dodger has gotten to 50 home runs.
Oh, yeah. That's why I think a lot of people were there to see Sean Green's record go down.
That is, during the middle of the game, he became the first player ever to have 2 home runs, 2 doubles, and 2 stolen bases. I shouldn't say ever. Since 1901, first player to get 2 home runs, 2 doubles, and 2 stolen bases.
Can we just, guys, and we don't speak for everyone in the baseball public, and I'm sure Mike Schur will complain about this to you later on. Can we just agree right now, if it happened before 1901, it didn't happen? Like, enough of this since 1901 crap. Like, I don't care what happened in 1872. Like, no one cares what happened on those teams. Those don't count. Those records are not things anymore. It's the first time ever. Not since 1901 anymore. Moving forward, we are not acknowledging anything before 1901.
Put it on
baseball.
the poll. Thank you. Put it on the poll. If it happened before 1901, did it really happen at Le Batard Show?
And if it happened after 2004, I won't acknowledge it.
Because you've checked out on most of baseball. But yesterday, we are living in a time of majestic athletic mastery, okay? Simone Biles, Serena Williams, Tom Brady, LeBron James, and this baseball beast who has mastered the game in such a way that yesterday he makes a number matter. He makes 2 numbers matter again. Steroids destroyed all the numbers. Baseball lost all of its historic greatness around numbers, and yesterday that was not so because all of us are watching that happen to the Marlins. So when I say it's the first time since 1901, 2 home runs, 2 doubles, 2 stolen bases in the middle of the game, and then he started topping that with a 6 for 6, there was also something else that happened yesterday that was historic and has never happened before. 2 home runs, 2 doubles, 2 stolen bases, and a Marlins crowd. And a crowd at a Marlins game that Billy paid $27, and how good were the seats that you got for $27?
They're decent. They were like, I mean, there's a whole thing. I'd say they were row 8, but then there's like a whole alphabetical aspect to the situation where there's like the double A row and then there's like the A row. So like they're pretty good. They were like right by first base. We picked that first base side because he's a left-handed hitter, so I could see the trajectory of the ball should it go out. The game was so crazy, Dan. Like, you're listing all the things that he did. 6 for 6, 3 home runs, 10 RBI, 2 stolen bases, right? I was just hoping for 2 home runs and 1 stolen base, which I was like, this is reaching. But here's the thing about the game, right? He could have had 4 home runs because his first double hit the wall. He could have hit for the cycle because he got thrown out going to third base, which he had no business doing. Also, that first stolen base of the 2, he was out by 10 feet in just a terrible tag attempt, and he was able to sneak by. But the 50-50, which you've never seen before, he did in the same game. He got his 50th stolen base and his 50th home run in the same game, and his 51st stolen base and his 51st home run in the same game. It was an insane game to be at.
Can we
totally
argue,
crazy? Dan.
Can we just argue
Let's
that
not.
Billy spent $27 to watch the single greatest game an individual has played in our lifetime. We can agree on that, correct? Like, none of us have ever seen a better baseball game played by an individual than the one that was played yesterday.
I don't want to be this guy so quickly, but the third home run was against a middle infielder.
It was so far. That home run was so
That was
far.
ridiculous,
They
man.
said it was like 440. BS. There's no chance that went 440. By the way, let me share you a stat. I don't know if we have a Saturday, whatever. I don't know if it's sponsored. So here's a stat courtesy of OptaStats, okay? Since RBI became an official stat in 1920, only one MLB player has had, over the course of his entire career, same game or not, a game with 10-plus RBI, a game with 6-plus hits, a game with 5-plus extra base hits, a game with 3-plus home runs, and a game with 2 stolen bases. That one player is Shohei Ohtani. He did it all in one game. That's over the span of a career. There's never a person that has done all of that, and he did it in one game.
When you talk about bones to pick, Billy, because I believe the sports media feeds on bones to pick, and it is something.
He was a leadoff hitter yesterday. He had 10 RBI, Dan. A leadoff hitter had 10 runs batted in. How does that happen? The Dodgers are stacked.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
A 7, 8, and 9 getting on enough for the number one to drive you in 10 times is crazy. And I don't know if a lot of people know this. Here's another fun stat. The leadoff hitter hits first. So when he has his first at-bat, there's no one on base to be driven in. So he couldn't do that in his first at-bat.
You generally
So his
don't-
10 RBI happened from 2 to 6 at-bats. And here's another thing. Normally, you don't get 6 at-bats in a game. That's not a thing that happens. The guy was almost 3/4 of the way to the cycle in the 3rd inning had he gotten to third base and not be thrown out.
The reason that he got 6 at-bats is because he's the leadoff hitter and they can't get him out. And so he gets 6 at-bats because he's always on base, having the most ridiculous game any of us have ever seen. But I will say again, you've heard me lament around here for a long time that the sports debate culture and the internet in general have made it corrosive to try and celebrate greatness. We are in an era of undisputed athletic mastery. And so Skip Schumacher yesterday, and I want to read lips here. We're going to do this with Aaron Rodgers in a little bit, but I want you to read the lips of Skip Schumacher here. He's down 11-3 in the 7th, and there are runners on 2nd and 3rd and 2 outs. And, of course, the play here is to walk Ohtani. You have to walk Ohtani. There's no reason to pitch to him here. But the reason he pitches to him here is because they're 40 games under. Schumacher is in the middle of this mess. He's got a contract that allows him to get out after this year because he's a lame duck manager because they saddled him with a bunch of garbage this year. And here he is in the dugout, and read his lips here on walking him. He just says, bleep that. I have too much respect for this guy to walk him in this spot. And he explained that after the game with more words, but the amount of respect, I know that, pardon my take, does football guys. Mike Zimmer's a football guy. Schumacher's a baseball guy. When a baseball guy is in the dugout saying, I'm going to get my head clubbed in here, but I'm going to choose it because of how much I respect this guy, listen to Schumacher talking about this after the game.
I think that's a bad move, baseball-wise, karma-wise, baseball god-wise. You go after him and see if you can get him out. And I think out of respect for the game, we're going to go after him. He hit the home run. I mean, that's just part of the deal. He's hit 50 of them. He's the most talented player I've ever seen. He is doing things that I've never seen done before in the game. And if he has a couple more of these peak years, he might be the best ever to play the game. So I just, as a fan, I wish I was in the stands, not in the dugout seeing it. But it's, I'm proud of like the guys that were attacking him and not scared of him.
This is going to be an unpopular opinion here, and I think I can understand the pushback that I'm going to get for this. I think Skip should be manager of the year. I don't think there's any doubting that Skip Schumacher should be manager of the year for not walking Shohei in that spot, because that damn Aaron Boone intentionally walked Miguel Cabrera when I went to see that 3,000 hit and delayed my trip to Detroit 3 days unnecessarily. And you know what Skip said? He said, I'm not going to anger the baseball gods. I know this moment. I'm not going to intentionally walk him. I respect him too much. And this man in that moment when he could have been petty and he could have said, you know what? I've gone through it this year with this team. We're going to lose 100-plus games, it appears. I'm not going to give him this moment. He said, no. For the best thing in baseball and the best thing here for this fan base, I am going to pitch to him.
With a middle infielder.
Excuse me. Be it a middle reliever or be it an infielder later in the game, I am going to give him his pitches, and he is going to be great on my watch. I'm not giving him that free bag. He could have done it. He could have done it, Dan. And you know what would have happened had he done that? He would have denied us the 10 RBI. He may have denied us. Well, he would have definitely denied us one of the home runs. He may have denied the 50-50. And you never know. You never know what happens. I don't want to be doom and gloom here. You never know what happens.
Why are you standing up?
I don't know. Can I not stand? Standing ovation. I think we should all. Standing ovation.
I'm with you on
Not
that.
for Shohei, for Skip. For pitching to Shohei.
Mine's
Skip.
for Shohei.
Standing ovation.
Come on,
Okay, for Shohei. All right, guys, come on. Stand up. All
Mine's
right,
for the middle infielder.
Stand
Throwing
up.
that pitch.
Yeah.
That was a good
Mine's also for you for telling
I don't
Chris to
understand.
shush.
By the way, you like this jersey? If you want
said
to, if you want to
excuse
see this jersey, tomorrow's the last day. They're retiring these jerseys after
Oh,
the
thank
game.
God.
But here's the thing about that: with them retiring a jersey comes crazy sales because everything that's red is 50% off at that stadium. And by the way, when you go to pay, I found out more than 50% off. I got a dry fit Nike shirt that was tagged at $44.99, and I said, you know what?
Why are you standing up?
$22
Are
is
you
a
still
pretty good
talking?
price for a Nike shirt. And then when I paid $14.99. So if you go check the prices, and I'm not going to say this, but here's the thing.
You're gonna say
I can't just get a Nike dry fit shirt for $14.99 with nothing on it if I wanted to. So some are saying putting Sugar Kings on it may have devalued it to the point that it's $14.99. I can't disagree with that because I paid $14.99. That's a great deal for a Nike dry fit shirt.
Don't do
Anyways,
interviews
what
in
were we
it.
talking about? Why not?
Because it's not a good look on
Nike-
TV.
Nike dry fit?
It gets tight to the
Did you have
chest.
another bad interview
No,
situation?
I'm just the 201 was
Did you
dry
do the
fit.
drawstrings at the Panthers
I almost
game?
wore the exact same outfit to interview
You
the
should have
Panthers,
done
but
that.
I didn't.
You want to get to my bone that I want to pick?
No, I want to get to Roy. I've been
Standing
wanting to for
ovation
about
for
90
Roy.
seconds now.
Roy.
For about 5 minutes. Yeah. You said anger the baseball gods.
Correct.
They gave up 20 runs last night. What are you talking about? Anger the baseball gods? I think they were pretty angry last night.
No, yesterday was a great day for baseball. Are you crazy? You think the baseball gods were angry yesterday? The baseball gods were celebrating that one of their angels they sent down from heaven to grace us with his presence
from Anaheim.
had a shining moment amongst the crowd in what, by the way, would have previously been a rained out game because it was pouring yesterday. It was not a good day for baseball.
Thank you, David Sampson.
The gods were blessing the crops with their rain yesterday because they wanted fruit to grow and they wanted things to come out of this earth to celebrate Shohei's great accomplishment, which was coming later in that day.
Or
No. Jess has done nothing wrong. She's not even here.
maybe the baseball gods were trying to flood the stadium.
I need you to just sit down for 2 minutes in the other room, and you can come back here and stand up.
I'm coming
in a
back more
second.
charged.
Okay, don't threaten me. You're out of control, and I want to just harness it. I want this badly. I'm going to need it once Chris and Mike get started on talking about Aaron Rodgers and Saleh. But I want to play for you a gas bag of the week. Mike Francesa once was talking about the idea of Shohei Ohtani to the Yankees, and this opinion here with Mad Dog didn't hold up very well.
Gas bag of the week.
How about Ohtani now? Now, it's funny, if the Yankees had gotten Ohtani,
And they wanted him
Stan
badly.
wouldn't have been here.
No, he would not only wouldn't have been here. The question is he going to embarrass somebody? Is he going to be as bad as everyone says
Oh,
he's
he's
been?
awful in spring training.
This is a guy who people were talking about being the greatest player in baseball. They have the best player in baseball on that team. They brought a guy in, and they were talking this guy up like crazy, and he hasn't produced anything yet. The Yankees are lucky they didn't get him.
That sentence at the end, that's it. Just play that sentence again, because if that's not something to put in the time capsule for sports media often thinks it is right and knows it all when sports media doesn't know anything. The Yankees are lucky they didn't get Ohtani is as bad a take as anyone can possibly have. Billy getting into that game for $27 is nuts and could only happen in our market. Maybe Tampa, maybe Oakland.
I would have thought it would be dynamic pricing for the history that was going to be made by him. But hey,
That doesn't
deal.
seem like 2 minutes. You seem like you got
Well,
back
you talked about
fast.
the $27. What a deal on Game Time. And I'm going to tell you.
We're calling price gouging dynamic pricing now. That's something that we're doing as a society.
that's what they called it originally when they started doing that. So,
I was getting texts from people within the baseball community that just love baseball or watching the game and just love the moment talking about it. One was Mike Schur, who was telling me, like, I was scrambling to get tickets to Friday night's game to see Shohei. I can't find a ticket. I'm like, $7 for this ticket. And I'm doing.
What was the crowd like, though, Billy? Honestly, what kind of numbers did they really do? Because David Sampson was delighted that the Marlins were selling unsold tickets to the game the way that he sold Roy Halladay unsold tickets to the game when Roy Halladay pitched a perfect game down here.
It was a decent crowd. It was very Shohei leaning, the crowd, obviously. It was also a 4:40 start, which is like a weird start time, but it was a getaway day. So there was like a lot of Dodgers fans, a lot of Shohei fans. It was a good crowd. Now, the bone that I had to pick, if we're going to talk about this, has to do with the tickets being sold after. Now, I bought my tickets on Game Time, so I had digital tickets. They announced after the game you can go and purchase print tickets if you want for the game. So I made the line. I was standing in the line, and then I got to the ticket window, and they were selling them advertised $25. Then there was fees included on a commemorative ticket, so it ended up being like 34 something, which is a little bit crazy. And I asked, can you print the ticket to the seat that I bought? Like, can you print the seat that I sat in so that I can have a stub for the actual seat that I sat in?
Seems unnecessary.
But you're paying the fees for their convenience,
Wouldn't
right?
any ticket work?
Well, no, I wanted the actual seat that I sat in. I'm now
cute.
buying 2 tickets to the exact same
You're
game that
buying-
I've been to.
yeah,
I already bought tickets. You should be able to just print the ticket I already
This is
had.
costing you more than the actual ticket to the game.
Yeah, the printed ticket after cost me more than my actual ticket to the game. And they're like, no, we're just doing random seats, which, look, I don't want to abuse my position that I'm in. If there's someone within the Marlins organization that has access to the printer, I will send you my seat location so you can print me my actual seats, because you just printed me and I should have walked away at that point and said, you know what? No, Billy, control yourselves, control your emotions. You don't need to buy extra tickets. You're already at the game. That was enough. You have the digital ticket. You don't need a ticket stub. But guess what? I bought the tickets regardless, and they're for the 300 level, which wasn't even open.
I'm seeing a photo here of you and Kugler. This is as happy as I've seen Kugler. He's stressed. He just had a baby.
He has a dad's night out yesterday.
Kugler looks that I've never seen him that happy. Those are a lot of empty seats I'm seeing during what seems like an active game.
No, that was after the game. If you zoom in very tight, you'll see back there is Shohei somewhere being interviewed. Yeah, people cleared out by that point in time. I was staying around because I was like hoping like maybe we get like a commemorative logo. I mean, obviously he's a visiting player, but maybe we get something that I could take a picture of on the screen or something. There really wasn't any of that. There was like, come back tomorrow to watch the Marlins play the Braves, and I was like, I'm good.
Was it bittersweet for that crowd knowing that they could have had Shohei Ohtani?
Man, anyone could have $2 million is all that guy went for. That's crazy.
It's funny.
The
to
greatest
think
player in
about,
baseball
yeah.
history played for $2 million.
Well, he has
a
that
year.
out, right? They let go of his employee. He can technically hit the market again.
What a bad day for Ipe. Gosh, if he could have just controlled his impulses a little bit, he could have been along for this ride.
The interpreter could have had a good day yesterday. When was the last time?
Well, he might have had over 2.5 bases. You never know.
I'm not used to the Marlins crowd giving the opposing player a standing ovation. I think the last time, tell me if I have this factually wrong, Roger Clemens during the World Series as the Yankees is the last time I remember seeing a Marlins crowd give somebody, I think Mark McGwire got the same thing when he hit a home run here, but I have not seen Marlins crowds, small though they are, show the kind of passion and reverence and respect to an opposing player to give him a standing ovation.
Ken Griffey got one for his 600th home run, and it was a worse crowd, and we're not going to go over that story again about how I should have been at that game, but I had foot surgery, and Dr. Cook didn't let me go. And I mixed the 600th home run of Ken Griffey Jr., which at the time, I believe he was only like the 4th or 5th person to do it. You know, I was thinking about this. We've had a lot of cool baseball moments down here in Miami, and I'm not going to say that we as a fan base and a city don't deserve these moments. we've had a lot of cool baseball moments down here. We had this 50-50, which obviously is the first time that it has ever happened. We had Ken Griffey's 600th home run. We have had multiple World Series. We had that Roger Clemens game, which, as you pointed out, standing ovation from both teams. Like the Marlins came out of their dugout, they gave him a standing ovation, and then that son of a gun decided he wasn't going to retire anymore. That steroid-using son of a gun who lied to all of us said, you know what, I'm going to go play for the Houston Astros.
Why are you standing up
completely
still?
making that moment irrelevant. He came back, he did that. We had multiple World Baseball Classics. We had that great David Wright World Baseball Classic game, which some of you might forget, against Puerto Rico, where he hit that like jam job right off his bat that then dropped right in the right field line, and then everybody was running around.
Wow, you took me
USA!
back. You took me back.
USA! I was at that game. That game was crazy. One of the best games I ever went to. The World Baseball Classic is so fun. And I'm glad that you brought up the World Baseball Classic because we had Shohei striking out Mike Trout, at the time teammates, in the World Baseball Classic for Japan to win the World Baseball Classic championship right here in Marlins Park, which Shohei Ohtani last night said one of his favorite baseball parks. Oh, music to my ears. That's like Jesus saying this is one of his favorite churches.
Amen.
I want to again.
So many churches, Dan. Imagine your
the
church,
question.
Jesus' favorite.
I want to ask you again the question about the crowd because you said it was a very pro-Ohtani crowd, but we do not have a big Asian population in South Florida. So we don't have a lot of Dodger fans also in South Florida. And so I'm asking you, the energy of the place, you're saying wasn't necessarily Marlins fans. It was people who were respecting the moment like you that are baseball fans and were going there to celebrate the fact that somebody unprecedented was doing an unprecedented thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of Dodger blue in the crowd. The seats are blue, so it can be confusing. You don't know how many people are wearing Dodgers colors, how many are seats. There's lots of Dodger fans there. There's lots of Ohtani jerseys, but like even the Marlins fans that were there, myself included, were like rooting for the moment. You want to see this moment happen. And then when the home runs are coming and the team's already down by like 11, 12 runs, it's easier to just like lose the sense of competition and just be happy that you're experiencing this moment. But, by the way, here's another thing, just a note that I made. So go on, Viking.
No, it's all right. It's
okay.
important. It's
Here's
your
another
day.
thing that I was noticing, and I had a conversation with Kugler. I don't know if you saw Kugler's at the game too.
I did. We mentioned that.
He's telling.
You're not listening to anybody.
Well, no.
You're just
I
hissing.
I think it's important to see his face while I tell you this story. So, like, while the home run is about to happen, he's telling me these stories and these jokes that his grandmother and his dad used to make. And I didn't correct him, but as I was doing it, he had there was a Japanese family right next to him with their camera out trying to capture the moment. And my thoughts the entire time was, God, I hope the microphone on this phone picks up this terrible story that he's telling me so that their video of Shohei Ohtani's 50th home run is just him telling me this ridiculous story about his grandmother and his dad's inside jokes, and that moment is ruined on their phone.
There's no way that camera picked up his voice.
He was talking pretty loud. He was talking pretty loud.
There must have not been anybody in that stadium for it to pick it up.
He was talking pretty loud, and we were right next
talker
to
I've
each
ever
other.
encountered.
And by the way, here's another thing that
I
family
am so
arrived.
tired of your by the ways.
They
in this
arrived
segment.
in the bottom of the 6th inning, and they made us like move into our actual seats, like right next to each other, because we had like when you go with friends, you leave a little bit of room. You leave the room so both of you can kind of put your arms. You like open up the legs a little bit, so there's a seat in between us. The family arrived in the bottom of the 6th inning, and I looked at him and I go, "It's the 7th inning. Like, where have you guys been? You came for this game. You show up in the 7th inning." The most efficient trip to the ballpark ever, because everything that he did happened after that. Great day for that family. Great day for baseball. Just a great day all around. What a day. What a day. Did you guys enjoy it? Were you watching at home? Did you follow on your? Did you miss it? Did you guys miss this?
I was watching Rays Red Sox.
What? You were not.
I was.
Why?
Because Bello was pitching. I wanted to see Bello.
There's a Walker Texas Ranger channel on Pluto that just airs it 24/7, and I've been locked in.
I cannot express my gratitude often enough or fervently enough for our audience for giving us the strength to do some of the things that we've been able to do that over the last 3.5 years, for reasons that our most loyal listeners know and understand, have been really arduous, and our thing has taken a beating, but now the winning is arriving in a number of different places. We are partnering with Smartless. It's one of the biggest podcasts in the United States, most popular, Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes. And it's the beginning of a partnership. It's not just this show, Goalless, a soccer show hosted by Russell Howard and some guy named Chris Whittingham. It's every Monday, it's every Thursday, and it's on SiriusXM's app and wherever it is you get your podcasts.
Chris Whittingham is a fancy lad.
But it's the beginning of several things we are intending to do with Smartless. So that's just the start. We've got a documentary series, a docu-series, The Comeback on the 2004 Boston Red Sox. It's Big Papi and Francona and Pedro. That premieres October 23rd. And dropping today as part of our 20th anniversary celebration is a project that I and we are very proud of and is just starting today. Our most loyal fans are going to really love this. I know that we are bombarding you with content on Fridays. Sometimes it's way too much. We're not expecting you to listen to it all. As I've said many times, these are menu items. But I'm promising you, as someone who does not like to overpromise on these things, that our most loyal fans are going to love this oral history. Mike, tell people a little bit about it because you've worked very hard on it. It's one of the reasons that you're doing other things other than executive producing this show, and it's a 16-part series that drops today.
Yeah, the first episode drops today, and after that, we're going to follow a every 2-week cadence for this. And it's the story of our show, how we got to where it is right now. And 16 episodes may sound like a lot, but this show has had a lot of twists and turns and a lot of eras. This first episode is going to cover the first 2.5 to 3 years of the show. We'll get to how the show was formed. There were so many things that I learned from this episode because I was around pretty early on, but only you and Stu were around for before the existence of the show. So we find out a lot about that, and there's a lot of surprises there for legacy fans. We don't treat you like idiots. There's going to be some stuff there that if you've been with us for a long time, you're going to be rewarded for. And at the end of the episode, there's going to be a supercut that will highlight some great sound from the era that the episode focuses on.
Can you give us, without giving away too much, because when you're saying that you learn stuff, you're researching this, you're doing reporting, you're talking to a great many people, give us an example, just a tease of something that you learned that you did not know.
There were things about Primetime Media Group specifically, and I was a Primetime Media Group employee. The Primetime Media Group was the conglomerate that turned to Stugotz to basically build a station out for them. Even though I thought I had a front row seat to a lot of what was going on with Primetime, some of the stuff that they were asking talents to do was pretty revelatory and very sadly of a time and of an industry at that time. So there's a lot of good stuff here, and there's a lot of surprises that I think most people are not going to be expecting in this episode.
Where and when can people get it? And you were ambiguous there. I know you don't want to give away the goods, but I'm asking you to give away...
There's a shock value to some of this stuff. So.
I know you don't want to give away the goods, but I'm asking you to give a morsel or a hint of something that you did not know as somebody who's a pioneering member of the show.
Well, I said the Primetime Media Group stuff, but I wasn't really fully aware, and I know you talked about it some with Boog on your South Beach sessions, but I wasn't really aware of how close that was to being the Dan Le Batard and Boog Shambi show. And we have more than a few voices kind of weigh in and really detail what happened there. But for me, like, we've been working on this for some time, conceptualized it long ago as we saw the 20th anniversary happen, coming down the pike. I want the shock value a little bit for myself. I want to see people's genuine surprise to some of the stuff that pops up in here. We've only gotten started in recording these episodes. I mean, some of these episodes are going to be really difficult for us to record because there were some eras that were really difficult on us.
Oh, we're going to show people the pain and the warts and all. This has not been skipping through daisies. Like, there have been really hard times in the middle of this that have tested all of the relationships.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that the reaction to this is good because this is about as rosy and positive and upbeat an episode as there might be in the entire series because as the show grew, I mean, Biggie Smalls told you, more money, more problems. So we ran into quite a bit of that, but I'm really excited about this, and I think it's a nice little reward to our legacy fans. And look, we've been around for 20 years. A lot of people's listening habits have changed. The way that we're available has changed. So I'm hoping maybe people loved us for a certain era. Maybe they loved us for the first couple of years and then couldn't listen to us. I hope this is an excuse for them to revisit our feed, let them know that we're still doing some kick-ass stuff to this very day. But I want people to come back because if you were a fan of our show and maybe have the take like they're not as good as they once were, or yeah, they were great, but when they went to ESPN, the show went to shit. Oh, they were the best during the pandemic. Like, we will highlight all those eras. So there's at least going to be an episode where if you don't like us anymore, we're going to cover an era where you did like us.
And where and when? Main feed at what time?
This feed that you're listening to right now, if you're listening to me on podcast, it will be available on our main show feed. It'll have a different tile that Angel Resto designed, but every other Friday. So it's got to be a 2-week cadence, and it's going to show up on Fridays here on the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz feed.
Yesterday on the show, we talked about baseball, and among the many things that we screwed up yesterday, for all of you who think that we've gotten a lot worse at everything, is that yesterday was Jim Abbott's birthday.
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
What are the odds?
We celebrated 1 in 365, I believe is what the odds are. We celebrated.
He's 365 years old?
Actually, the odds are worse than that because that's the one time we've discussed Jim Abbott in many, many years. And so I guess I have to multiply 365 by however many years we've been doing this because there are not great odds that yesterday on his birthday is when we would decide to accuse him of playing tennis as a hitter, which is what Chris Cody did in a moment that was wildly disrespectful. And I was trying to get everybody off of this subject yesterday unsuccessfully because I have no control over this. And Mike Schur left me a voicemail message. I have not heard this, okay? He just said, Mike Schur is a very nice, decent, understated man. He said he left me a message screaming about how we talked about baseball yesterday, and I just gave it over to Chris Cody. How bad is this, Chris? Because I have not heard what it is that his critique is of our show.
I like it. It's very Mike Schur, and he does not hold punches.
All right, so if you were not listening yesterday, I don't even remember how it is we ended up on the subject of there once was a major league pitcher who did not have a hand. But Mike Schur objected to everything we were doing around baseball.
Listening to you guys talk about baseball is so painful. It's the most painful way that I spend my time is when you guys decide to talk baseball. I mean, you need to let Jeremy or someone fact check you as you talk about this. You need to have an ombudsman because it's awful. It's so bad. There have been ambidextrous pitchers. Greg W. Harris was ambidextrous. There's like 3 guys in the minors right now who are ambidextrous. Also, Jim Abbott had an arm. He had 2 arms. He didn't have a hand, which is what allowed him to switch his glove back and forth. And like Shohei Ohtani gets caught stealing a lot. No, he doesn't. He almost never gets caught stealing. And Tony's saying, I had no idea Ricky Henderson stole so many bags. It's the thing he's most famous for. It's the most famous thing about one of the most famous baseball players, that he stole bases. I mean, for God's sake, just do me a favor and if you're going to talk about it this way, don't talk about it. It's too awful to listen to. I can't take it. I just came back from the dentist. I'm on my way home listening to this. It was so much more painful to listen to you talk about baseball than it was to go to the dentist.
Tony actually said that?
Yes.
What?
Yes, he flouts his ignorance in a way that makes me understand why it is Stugotz loves him so much. The conversation I was having with Mike Schur offline, and I was asking this as a serious question because he was saying there have been ambidextrous pitchers before, and I was legitimately asking him, without any degree of irony, can you be ambidextrous if you don't have a hand? I wasn't even making. I was asking the question.
When did you lose the hand?
I was asking the question seriously. Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Can you be ambidextrous if you don't have one of your hands? I'm still asking the question seriously, just like I'm asking the question seriously all night last night because I don't want to be offensive to people. I'm asking Jeremy the question, is there a better word that we can use than nub for describing the arm of Jim Abbott? And one of the things that Jeremy said is that was the proper term, that he talked to people in the medical community, and there is that he just received a text from a friend in the medical field who said you can also say residual limb, but
that's the safest way, but nub is safe though.
But people don't know what you're talking about if you say residual limb.
That's why we went with nub.
I've never heard residual limb.
What was this night of yours, watching the Rays and talking to Jeremy about the proper way of describing Jim Abbott's residual limb?
Terrible night.
I mean, there have been other pitchers who've pitched with deformities and disfigurements. I mean, Mordecai Brown. I mean, they call him 3 fingers for a reason, you know?
That is correct.
Antonio Fonseca.
But nobody, that's 6 fingers.
It's an advantage.
No.
That's one of the things we were discussing yesterday, and I don't think we put it up as a poll question, that whether or not in certain instances these things are an advantage. The 6th finger for Alfonseca, he also had 6 toes. Those were not things that gave him any kind of advantage.
The 6th toe is absolutely an advantage. Helps you dig in more.
It
probably gave him an extra couple
It doesn't,
MPH.
but it's like the extra appendage on the hand. It wasn't a useful appendage. It wasn't something that you could get any strength from. It was just dangling. It was a burden.
How did this come about?
I don't remember, but I will tell the Alfonseca story that I told a long time ago, which is Alfonseca bought a new house in Miramar, and me and Jim Leland asked him how many rooms it had, and he held up one hand.
What a flex.
We got to Jim Abbott just talking about how impressive Shohei was, and we got to ambidextrous, so I don't know. That's how we got there.
It was 6 rooms in the house. It wasn't 5. It was 6.
That's incredible.
It is. It's incredible for a lot of different reasons.
He gets mad when people don't give him 6. Like, give me 6.
Do we think 60-60 is possible?
No.
Why not? I mean, he could do it by the end of the weekend
If he
at this
keeps
pace.
hitting off of against second baseman.
Why are you
there.
caught up on that?
I mean, it's just
that was a 51st home run. That wasn't even the one that broke the record.
Just the idea of Skip Schumacher, on his high horse about, I respect the game. I want him to face the best competition. We're going to go after him. And then we're going to go after him with a second baseman because we respect the game so much.
Save the bullpen.
I respect the game in the 6th inning, but when we get to the 8th inning, I no longer respect the game.
How dare you, number one? That is the defending and possibly back-to-back manager of the year we're speaking of at the moment. And number 2, you need to save those arms because we have a big series against the Braves coming up.
Exactly.
There is nothing. I was tied down, so I couldn't stand again, so I can't really stand up.
Why are you tied down
because
now?
I was told I was standing too much
Yes,
before.
I asked someone to tie you down.
There
I
is
didn't know they had done
nothing
it.
that I would enjoy more on the baseball diamond, besides obviously what happened
Than a
yesterday.
football game.
Incredible.
Then hitting off of a position player.
Then eliminating the Braves from playoff contention. Oh, how
save the
I
season.
would love that. Oh, how I would love to deny the Braves a ticket to October. I dare them to come down here. I dare them.
They are going to come down here.
We'll
on the
see.
schedule.
They haven't
It's on
played
the
yet.
schedule.
Well, we'll see if they make
Okay.
it. I dare them to show their faces here because the Marlins are hot right now.
They
Granted,
lost 20-4 yesterday.
yeah, but the vibes are great around the park, and they won that first game by like 11-9. Remember that game? That was a good game.
That was a great
too.
game.
Oh God, not as good. I'm trying to get
Try
inside.
standing. Try
I'm trying to
standing.
get inside your head. I don't understand why you prioritized the Rays game yesterday. It just doesn't make
I
sense
can
to
watch
me.
multiple things at the same time, and the only thing to tune into in the Marlins game was the Ohtani at bats. There was nothing else to watch there, and they were cutting into him in the Rays game.
Were they really?
Yes,
That shouldn't be allowed.
They were.
I don't like that.
They weren't cutting in. They were cutting in with the information to tell me to go to the Marlins game by saying.
Did they really say, "Hey, go watch the Marlins game"?
By saying what was going on in the Marlins game. Yes,
The vibes were great around the ballpark.
They were yesterday. It was a festive environment.
For Dodgers fans, sure.
No, everyone was happy to be there yesterday.
I'm sorry.
Marlins fans were not there. They weren't there to see the Marlins strike out Ohtani, Roy.
Why are you guys so miserable? Why can't we just enjoy nice things? Like, what is this?
I'm just laughing.
Bad energy.
I'm just laughing.
We got it, Vidal Brujan.
Right.
You've made that point. We got it. Oh, my God. A position player. I hate to tell you, position players pitch all the time now. I will say this. It was a bad night for Vidal Brujan's ERA. It jumped into the 45s.
Put that on the poll. Was it a bad night for Vidal
not
Brujan's ERA?
It's not his first appearance of the season.
No, second game.
I've never seen someone so happy after their
Skyrocketed.
team lost this badly.
We also saw the rare, and Chris, I don't know if you were watching at this point, we saw the rare time where Skip, maybe manager of the year, came out and said, you know what, Vidal, enough's enough. We need to get out of this.
Let's bring in our third string catcher.
No, what they did is they literally just switched positions on the field. They brought over the second baseman, and then he was pitching, and then Vidal went to play second base. They didn't even have anyone warming up. They just switched position players. Yeah.
He respects the game, though.
And Shohei was 2 batters away from getting another at bat that day.
I'm coming around to Chris.
How do you sit in your afterwards? You're like, we pitched to him. You know why? Where's the camera? We respect the game.
We respect the game. We put a pitcher at second base.
He's a second baseman by trade. I don't understand. This is the first. You know what?
Just don't get on your high horse about respecting the game. Is all.
He did respect the game.
You're out of the playoff hunt, so you didn't care that you threw him, you grooved him, you Chan-Ho parked it.
That
the whole
was
game right to him.
How dare you?
He hits the ball so far.
He does whatever he wants with that baseball. I was getting annoyed with him. Once he hit the wall the first time, I think I told you guys already, I was like, okay, well, that's it. I missed it. He's not going to hit 2 more home runs today. That was a shot. He needed to hit one that 10 feet over to the right, and it would have cleared the fence, and that would have been one of the 2 because he's not going to hit 2 other home runs today. That was the shot at doing it. He does whatever he wants on the baseball field. After he got that one, and then after he got his second, when he got his single, I was annoyed because I'm like, he's just going for line drives. What is this? Come on, man. Let's swing for the fences. That's why everyone's here. And then once he got his stolen base, and once they were up 10, he's like, you know what? I'm going to hit home runs now. Does whatever he wants, and the swing looks the same every time, and it looks so effortless.
It is total lunacy. I will say to you that one of the greatest changes I have seen in baseball is that everyone can go opposite field, but I'm still not used to seeing lefties go opposite field in that park to left field and left center when they're not totally catching the ball correctly, and he's still hitting it out because his normal fly balls, he's too strong, and so he hits breaking pitches off of left-handed pitchers, real pitchers, not second basemen, who are throwing 95 miles an hour. He goes opposite field on it. But Billy, can you explain to me the value in this? I have told you before, it is one of my common vanity laments is I simply can't go anywhere, drive anywhere, walk anywhere where I'm not seeing in my peripheral vision somewhere someone taking a picture of themselves, a selfie, someone doing something nearby instead of living life, recording the living of life. And we've been playing again and again your exclusive footage from your phone.
Yeah.
What value do you think that this has of you showing the home run on your phone? You have 40 seconds of footage on your phone. How many of these do you have that you did not use because they did not result in a home run? We have exclusive video footage of you seeing one of the home runs on your phone. This is Billy the cameraman recording this. What is the value of this, and how much footage do you have on your phone that's not as good as this?
Well, first and foremost, I don't see a credit on that video to me, and I didn't consent to that video being used, so an email will be sent later today, and, these videos aren't for free. What do we think? There's going to be a fee attached to that. You guys insane? What do we think? I will say this.
Co-founder asking you openly, how much do you think this costs as he airs it without your permission?
Yeah, no consent there. And on the record, consent was not given. No consent was given there. This will be played in court.
So where is that? Can you
the fact
find
that
for
people,
me?
the fact that people decided to make this moment about them and take selfies just to show that they were there, despicable. I didn't like it at all. I didn't like that everyone was trying to make this moment about them and document that they were there and pull up. How about you just enjoy the moment? How about you just watch it and enjoy the moment? Which, by the way, is what I was doing beforehand. And I have like 3 videos before because he did it like on the 3rd pitch. So then you have like the useless video where it's like, okay, ball 1. And it's like, well, now I need to. But
Delete that one,
I'm afraid I'm going to delete the wrong one. So for the rest of my life, I'm going to have pitch 1 and 2 of that at bat as separate videos, like separate 8-second videos. I'm going to be like, what is this?
Just Cougs whispering underneath it.
Telling a story about his grandmother and his dad and their inside jokes. And like, buddy, I don't care about this right now. Like, I don't care about your family's IJs. You know what I mean? Here's the thing.
I hope Ohtani gets this pitch.
I wasn't going to record the moment. I was just going to live in the moment. And then I thought, and I don't want to spoiler alert here, and I'm going to put pressure on myself that I don't want. I thought, if I do another Get Ready With Me video, it'll be really funny to just throw this home run in the middle of that video when I'm picking a fantasy baseball team. So I did it just for that and just so happened to catch the moment. But it was more for a joke.
Is that video, though, the correct video? Does that video, is that the 50th home run, not the 51st home run?
Yeah, that's a 50th home run, yeah. I didn't care about the 51st at that point in time.
Okay, so
Neither did Skip.
you have a video that you believe that has some worth to it because
I mean, it's being played all over, national podcasts that are being broadcast on YouTube. So it's worth something to someone.
This is part of the thing that I don't know. Since my childhood, the one thing that I have heard in baseball games that is the most consistent thing, and it was baseball that did this first, did it before football or anywhere else. Baseball was aggressive about having the wording. Roy, please find this for me and text it to me as soon as you can get it. Having the wording that tells you you do not have the rights to play our video or audio unless we give you the expressed written consent to play that. But I'm assuming that that is different if you're at the game and just filming it yourself. The wording is any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of the pictures and accounts of this game without the express written consent of Major League Baseball is strictly prohibited. Is it allowed if you've bought a $27 ticket? I know F1, Mike.
And a $34 fake ticket. Real ticket, but wasn't your seat.
F1 is aggressive about you cannot film stuff and then put it wherever you want at our venues. Are we allowed to do what we just did from Billy's phone without giving?
You didn't get it.
I didn't give you permission. I don't even know how you got the video, to be perfectly honest with you.
He has grounds to sue this company.
Track this phone. It seems like it's being tried up. Just
usually putting credit up there is what saves you. So we've opened up a whole can of worms here.
Okay, that's unfortunate. Let me gather myself and speak to lawyers during the break. In the interim, Mike and Chris, can you filibuster with 2 minutes on Robert Saleh and Aaron Rodgers aggressively touching each other?
I mean, the internet is just so sure that this was a negative from Aaron Rodgers, and to me, this was a couple bros. This was just a bro moment. This is all positive here. I didn't see a single negative thing from this interaction, Mike.
Well, if you don't have the sound attached and you're not good at lip reading, it does look bad, especially the glare that Aaron Rodgers gives at the end. And Aaron Rodgers is quite peculiar, so you saw this happening, and it just defies logic that Aaron Rodgers in that moment would be upset. So I already know like the next Pat McAfee hit is going to be like Aaron Rodgers being pissed off that everyone took this video out of context. When what's to blame here is just bad body language. But Aaron Rodgers was asked about it after the game. Aaron Rodgers mentioned that, hey, Robert Saleh is not big on hugging. He's always big on pushing the chest. I was surprised he came at me with a hug. I pushed him in the chest. Now, Robert is also always talking about 2-score leads. And if you read Aaron Rodgers' lips there, and what Aaron Rodgers said in the postgame presser is, what I'm telling him is, boom, 2-score lead in that moment. It all checks out. It's just the optics are strange. This is supposed to be a happy time. Why are you pushing your happy coach away and looking unhappy? But he was just being intense and happy that the offense executed, and it's a big nothing burger.
There's a second angle of it where you see him right after hug a player. So it's just, I'm with Mike. I don't think there's anything here, but it's just funny in this one angle where the next player he sees, he gives a hug to.
It is a certainty that this is going to be probably the most fascinating team in the NFL, and everything is going to be blown out of proportion. I find it funny that when they have their best performance of the season, we've already started doing that. It's probably not going to be pretty when he's actually surly on the sidelines, which he gets a lot of crap for because it's true. Aaron Rodgers can be surly on the sidelines.
Give me the stat of the day music, please.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day.
I will say again that we are living in a time of really majestic mastery of sports, of athletics, by greatest you've ever seen. And Aaron Rodgers, to me, fits in that category. This stat on Aaron Rodgers, to me, was a mind blower. That touchdown pass to Garrett Wilson last night was the 480th touchdown pass of Aaron Rodgers' career, and the very first thrown to a wide receiver drafted in the first round. We're going to go to the bucket of death in a second, unfortunately, reluctantly. We don't like this thing, but it's back, and Mike Ryan was trying to avoid it. We'd been doing it on Thursdays, but we're going to start moving it around because people are trying to get out of being around the bucket of death, and I think Mike is surprised that the bucket of death is now appearing on a Friday. But I think going forward, we're not going to know what day it appears. It might be a Monday, on Tuesday. You guys are trying to avoid it.
I think it's important to do on Thursdays so that everybody knows for sure. As you know, one of the most important things in this industry, and I'm sure we'll get to it on the oral history, is having these segments when people know where they are, these tent poles, right?
So like
everybody knows on Thursday.
That's not what the oral history is about.
Here. Yeah, it's just a little BTS on how the radio industry works. So you say, you know what? This is everybody knows this is going to be Thursdays. Sometimes Billy won't be there, but every Thursday we're going to do the bucket of death.
You don't work on Thursdays, and I'm tired of you influencing.
Trust me.
You don't work here. You don't work here.
Trust me.
He works for this company that he now partially owns.
Yeah,
because you use his video without consent.
And even off hours, I'm doing things that are just against my consent being used here. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so about that, we were negotiating during the break. It was some strong arming, and it involved lawyers. But Billy has now conceded to offer us some of the video from his phone. It's not any of the historic video. It's just the shitty video that he's given the company of just random balls being thrown to Ohtani that he's not swinging at. So we'll just play those. It's all we've been able to get from Billy during the break. I want to ask you guys a couple of sports questions. One, put this on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Does it seem right to you that Brooklyn is retiring Vince Carter's number, but Toronto hasn't? At Le Batard Show. And also, and this isn't for the poll, but I want to ask you guys, because we live in a time of cruelty and because we often treat our sports figures as if they're not human, Dan Campbell is selling his house because he says he's got a privacy issue that people have figured out where he lives after losses. And Will Levis has changed his telephone number because he says some people got it. And when he loses, they inundate his phone with messages because the more anonymous that you can be on the internet, the more cruel you can be via text because you think you have some sort of rights to these people. How do you guys absorb a season of expectations in Detroit that now has Dan Campbell having to move because people know where he lives and he doesn't like that after losses, and Will Levis having to change his phone number because Titans fans are just sharing their opinions directly with him because social media gives them some access, so they think they deserve all access?
I feel for Dan Campbell. Will Levis, if you're going to toss the ball to the other team the way you did those first two games, you deserve the texts.
No.
I mean, those are bad. I just asked his coach. Those are bad turnovers.
That's a bad take.
Bad turnovers.
Do you think it was just people on the staff that were texting him? Speaking of mayonnaise, Dale Jr. returns in the Hellman's 88 tonight.
Wow.
Xfinity Series race. As you know, Dale Jr. retired, but he's under the lights at Bristol Motor Speedway. Xfinity Series. Hellman's 88. The CW. What more could you want?
Well, thank you for offering that because while I understand why it is you want to take a detour toward cars, I want to take a detour toward an area of expertise that I believe that we are not accenting enough around here. I really do believe that you are a genuine college football insider. And I also believe that the University of Miami has legitimately bought its way into the game with its quarterback, who is now a Heisman favorite. So what I want to ask you about, and if you can consolidate all of these thoughts, I would appreciate it. I want to ask you about this assortment of things. Tennessee gouging its fans in order to get more money for its athletes by adding a 10% surcharge to its tickets in a stadium that always has 100,000 people in it. FSU's fight against the ACC and the University of Miami's game this weekend, which Mario Cristobal has said is the toughest test of the season, an obvious slight at the University of Florida. Billy Napier is in trouble at Florida. His buyout is mid-20 millions. Norvell's buyout at FSU is mid-60 million, and people are noticing and reporting on these things. because they believe both men to be in trouble. I don't believe that Norvell can be in trouble 4 games after being 13-0, but the stakes have raised in Florida, which is a football state.
I saw Norvell, FSU has announced a board expansion. They're going after a guy that's committed to Boston College. So a board expansion is a nice way to say we have to move down our recruiting board because people don't want to go to us, but he is hell-bent on proving to people that he can recruit high schoolers. Norvell isn't going anywhere. I do believe Norvell to be a good coach, but it's going to take some time to turn that year around. You gave me 3 things to chew on. Which one do you want first?
Well, we've talked some about the Tennessee thing, so let's talk about FSU and what's happening with the ACC.
I do have a brief thing on the Tennessee.
Then why'd
thing.
you ask me?
Well, because you were. Well, why'd you ask me if you told me that you didn't want my answer on it?
I wanted. I threw the ball
Tennessee,
to you,
Danny
and then
White
you asked me, "How do you want me to dribble it?" Then I told you how I wanted you to dribble, and you said, "But I'm going to dribble it my way first."
You gave me a list of things you wanted me to talk about, and then you said, "Actually, we already talked about that when you don't want to talk about that." So, Tennessee thing. The administrator over there, the AD, makes like $2.5 million a year. You notice that the administrators in all these talks aren't actually taking pay cuts. Administrators and coaches, that's not on the option. And the 10% tax, talent fee tax, while innovative and you can get that fan base to do anything right now because they're super happy, who was paying for it before? You're just taxing the people that you're getting the revenue from anyways. Because even indirectly, your TV revenue comes from that fan base. So it's weird. Like, we're going to tax you, and, oh, yeah, no, this is a good idea. I finally get to step up to the plate and help. That's where all the money comes from anyways.
But can't you do that when you're Apple in your region? Can't you just raise prices on people because the addiction is such that...
Yeah, or one thing is the administrators can take a pay cut, but that is never on the table. It always just gets passed down to the consumer, and this isn't just a college football thing. This is a fact of life in every facet, but no, it's kind of bullshit. There is an issue with college athletics, and the NCAA is probably going to get phased out. The injustice of the student labor getting paid, that has been addressed. But the injustice of the people that are making all the revenue and not actually paying the student labor, that hasn't been. It's just passed down to the boosters and everybody else. These people got to give up money, and they've spent $250 million in the courts, losing it hand over fist, losing every single court case. I read an article that if there were a CEO in charge of a company that spent this amount of money to lose this often in court, they would have been fired a long time ago. NCAA clock is ticking. FSU, hugely embarrassing season. Them and Clemson try to rattle cages, and people aren't going to want to hear this because it's a huge optic sell. Everyone's laughing at FSU. But it does seem like the revenue structure in the ACC is going to change. So as much as they put themselves out there, as much money as they burn trying to do this, and as little revenue as they're going to get, because this revenue structure is supposed to reward the good football teams. They are no longer one of the good football teams in their conference. They did bring about change, it appears, in the ACC. USF, I do agree, it is the toughest test for Miami so far this season.
Let's talk about Cam Ward being a Heisman favorite after 3 games and all the records Miami has broken against teams that aren't very good, and we know they're not very good, and the tests will be against Louisville. And when I was discussing earlier this week, because UCF won in the last 30 seconds of the game, and I was asking, is UCF the second best team in the state? You were arguing that South Florida might have a bone to pick based on how they looked against Alabama, because they were able. That's what we're basing it on, correct? And the offseason, but then they play against Alabama, and it doesn't look like they're that outmatched.
I'm familiar with some of their roster, being some local recruits. Their head coach has buzz around him, is like maybe possibly going to a better program. I think UCF is better than USF, but I'm just saying the measuring stick for so long, for the last 15 years in that sport, has been do it against Bama. And they've hung tight over the last 2 years with Bama. Now, sometimes styles make fights, and they just may be an issue for Alabama. Alabama had a lot of fumbles in that game. But I do think that this should be a really fun atmosphere. It's 2 teams that play in pro stadiums. It's at Raymond James at night. This isn't exactly college football rich in tradition, but it's going to be really fun. I like it when these 2 teams play. I would encourage them meeting more regularly, and I know they play next year in Miami, but it's a fun matchup, and this should be a really good test. That's a big boy at quarterback that it poses a different challenge for this Miami defense, especially at secondary, which we haven't seen tested all that much. They haven't been tested by big physical backs and quarterbacks that if they get to that second line, try to make you tackle them. I'm curious to see how much our tackling has improved.
What is the point spread in that game? Because I will
17.5. It is on the money, I think.
I will tell you that I am scared of the University of Miami going on the road against just about anybody, and I've got some post-traumatic stress disorder about not trusting this coaching staff. So if you want to start grabbing some of my belief, you could do to South Florida what you did to Florida, because you impressed me in the swamp, but since then I saw Texas A&M go and do the same thing, and so I need more proof, even though I'm sold on the quarterback. But I have not seen the quarterback actually hurried and harried. I have not seen him. I don't know how many times he's been sacked, but I don't feel like I've seen him rattled under any circumstances, and I do worry about pass rush on the road.
He did get sacked against FAMU, and that's because Markel Bell was playing on the line, although I don't think that sack was his fault. Miami's had some injuries. For example, Miami's been doing this without their best player on defense, Ruben Bain. I think we'll see him next week, Friday night, against Virginia Tech. But along the offensive line, they've been cautious. Jalen Rivers and Nez Cooper, they've been hobbled. Coach says that they're going to be back this week. But Miami's been doing this with a fair amount of rotation. And yes, you could say Florida's not very good. I believe Texas A&M is a good team, okay? They did that with their backup quarterback, and they won soundly. I think Texas A&M is good. That being said, Florida's going to fire their coach. They're a dumpster fire.
The Texas A&M backup quarterback, that was a freshman. That's a mobile freshman, right? That was not.
I think Jalen Henderson played some last year. It's funny, I don't understand what happened to Connor Wegman in that first game. He had a shoulder injury, and he was throwing up. I did not recognize that quarterback.
You trusted him last year.
I happen to love Connor Wegman. I think he's an NFL prospect, and he was really bad against Notre Dame. So I think he was so bad that people might have convinced themselves with this performance that he's not the guy. If that guy's a portal guy, a program would be wise to pick up Connor Wegman, because I think he's dynamite. I just think he had a really bad game against Al Golden's defense, who is a great defensive coordinator in Florida, should really look at hiring him.
The Reaper's a little too excited to be here. None of us are happy to see him.
Stugotz has never done this.
Yeah, that's convenient. He hasn't done it this season. He still owes penalties from the Clevelander. I'm still waiting for that freestyle he's going to do on the stage at the Clevelander. He owes about 9 penalties. I don't understand why there's a wizard in here again. The wizard is not portending death. Mike, go ahead and reach into the bucket of death. Let's see what you got.
I got the Carolina Panthers. I can tell you that's already going back.
All right.
Andy Dalton.
Panthers at
Red
the
Rifle.
Raiders. The Raiders are a 5-point favorite at home.
We got the Baltimore Ravens.
All right. The Ravens are playing at
the Dallas Cowboys. Not a great pull for me this week.
Are the Ravens going to go 0-3?
That's not a terrible pick. You're at Cowboys, and you're a 1-point favorite at the Cowboys.
That's a surprising line, but that's anytime you're not favored by more than 3 points, you're a little nervous in this thing.
Okay, but I will tell you that last week you guys were hurting for me because I pulled the Colts at the Packers, and then I threw it back. You said I shouldn't have done that. Then I pulled the Saints as a big underdog at the Cowboys, and they won easily. It doesn't matter what the spreads are.
Duke is picking next. Duke, is this a must-win game for both the Ravens and Cowboys?
Yeah.
Why is there a wizard in here?
And why did the wizard turn into Woody Page?
I got the Chiefs. They're at the Falcons.
Sunday Night Football.
They're favored by 3.
Primetime Kirk Cousins. You want to stay away now that he has a beard.
I like a second pull always.
The Reaper walked away from you, assuming that you're taking
the Reaper always moves on whenever someone gets Mahomes. They just keep moving.
This, I guess. Under protest, though, because I wasn't.
Is that the Dolphins you got?
Yeah, they're playing the Seahawks.
They're a 4.5-point dog.
You don't believe in Skyler?
Next, I got.
It's crazy that they were saying yesterday that they're not sure if Tua's going to travel to that game. Why would you put him on a plane across the country?
The New Orleans Saints.
Why would you? That's a good point.
Saints versus Eagles. Saints hosting the Eagles, a 3-point favorite. I guess that you certainly upgraded there, Roy.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that likes the Dolphins this week? I think they get it done. I think Skylar does
I've
it.
actually seen people predict this game, and you might actually be the only person.
I like them. Seattle's, they've been fine. Nothing too impressive. This is the Titans that I have.
The Titans are a 2.5-point favorite at home against the Packers, and it's not clear whether Jordan Love is going to play or not.
I think he's going to play. I saw some report yesterday he's practiced 2 days in a row.
I want the Malik Willis revenge game.
It's a weird line, right?
I got the Wizard of Oz. Shit. All right. Lions, Tigers, or Bears. I'll get back to you in 1 second.
Why does the Duke think that's a weird line? Titans a 2.5-point favorite against the Packers.
Why don't you take the Bengals? They got the Commanders at home Monday Night Football.
Ooh.
All right. I'm going to take the Bengals.
Roy,
Big favorite.
Your pick of the Saints, I don't know because I wasn't watching the game after they gave this stat, but the Saints started the season, their first 15 possessions, they scored on all of them. I don't know if they kept doing that, but they've been the most overwhelming offense in the sport. I got the Bears here at the Colts. The Bears are a 1.5-point dog at the Colts.
They're due, though, Dan.
2 Titans of coaching. Everyone knows both these head coaches' names.
I don't want to watch this game. I don't.
You know that there hasn't been a murder in New Orleans in 18 days?
That is not
Now we've
something that I
jinxed it.
thought I was going to hear. Okay, Big Apple is what I got. I could take the Jets from last night, right? Can I? Can I take the Jets from last night on my Big Apple pick? I thought that's how that worked. What's the ruling? You going to call Sarah Spain? I thought
I mean, you historically can pick a team that's on a bye,
Sure,
so why
you
wouldn't
can
you
take 'em,
pick a team
whatever.
that's already won?
I thought that was something we could do. I know
Yeah,
this
but then you're not going to be able
disappoints
to put on
the
a costume when you lose.
I
Did you
really,
think about that?
I
Ooh, you
don't
didn't think
want
about
to.
that.
I don't want to put on the costume.
Okay.
Shut
All
up.
right. Stop
no,
lying
no,
to
we
the
get
people.
it. Yeah,
Come on
okay.
now. You
Yeah,
picked the Rangers.
costumes, yeah.
Barely hide that Woody as I was dressed as Abraham Lincoln.
I thought it was pretty well hidden. I didn't think anybody saw it, and I thought they were going to confuse it. I was just happy because we were getting people to vote. I thought it's what they were going to see there.
I thought it was a Buzz Lightyear.
My general.
You could take the liberty. They lost last night to the Dream, and then you're guaranteed a costume.
Thank you, Billy. I always appreciate that you're looking out for me, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you, take the Jets, and I'm going to say that that's allowed because you're not in charge anymore of the bucket of death. No, Sarah Spain, I hired her. I did hire Sarah Spain. The last couple of weeks of shows have been moving too fast, but 2 weeks ago I did rehire Sarah Spain.
No one brings a show to a screeching halt like Sarah Spain.
To be the commissioner, so she's going to be doing all of the rulings on this. The Jets last night, though, I do want to talk about this because I think it's super interesting that Aaron Rodgers is going to play competent quarterback for a team that only needs competence from its quarterback. He's not going to make mistakes. They're going to be able to treat Mike Williams as a third receiver because they've got a decent skill position.
In part
talent.
because he is the third receiver over there.
I want to ask you, though, Mike, a question, whether you get mad at me. Last night, while I was watching Rays Red Sox, I texted you that your Thursday Thunder was looking good because at halftime you had the Jets and you had both running backs going over on their rushing totals because you liked the Jets being able to run the football against the Patriots. And they were able to run the football against the Patriots, but it wasn't Breece Hall getting the amount of yardage that you wanted. So we won 2 out of the 3 legs of the parlay. But did you get mad at me? And do you get mad at your friends if a bet is going well for you and then the friend comments on it? Because as soon as I sent it, I felt bad about what I had done, not because I would ever care if someone did it for me, but I wasn't respecting your superstition. So I want to ask Juju to put this on the poll. Should you respect your friends' superstitions? Yes or no? Because after I texted you, I felt bad, and then I felt worse when I saw that I had that you had lost the bet.
You were totally in the wrong there. That happened in our group chat with our football pool that we're in. Somebody took the victory for the Jets way too early in that game last night. They were talking about how easy of a pick it was in the third quarter. We ended up covering, but they could. It was a very dangerous game to play there. You don't let the why do you have to get out there? That the question I would pick, why do you got to get out there? Just let the bet finish.
I wanted to share winning with a friend.
It sounded like you shushed Chris.
I mean, it's the second time today.
I did not mean to shush you. I was trying to talk while the control room was also talking to me, and it wasn't clear that my microphone was on because somebody was talking to me.
So you shushed them.
Yes, that's what happened. And
Mally, walk to the ocean.
That's exactly what happened. We've got new people in the video room, and they're talking to me a lot today. But when I say, do all of you agree with this? Do all of you agree with the idea that you shouldn't share the fun of a possible winning bet with your friend, that the superstition is something that needs to be respected? Because I don't respect anyone's superstitions. I'm not superstitious.
The sharing and joy that you want to is not worth how bad it's going to be if you blow that bet for him.
Yeah.
But I didn't have anything to do with blowing the bet for him. Brees Hall did.
No, you did. You lost me the bet.
I don't think you get it.
Brees Hall would have gotten it had you not texted me that. What don't you understand about this? That's how cosmically important I am.
Do you know that it wouldn't have been different? You can't know that.
I do know that.
No, you don't.
Possibly know
can't
it.
possibly know that.
I do know that.
You can't. You can't know that.
Just like you don't know that me going out of my seat to the concourse in 2003 Alex Gonzalez doesn't hit that walk-off home run if I don't do that.
That's what the butterfly effect is.
You don't know that he does.
I do.
As that same game, that son of a gun, Roger Clemens, tricked us all pretending he's going to retire.
I know that you wearing a certain shirt has no result on the impact of a game that I'm watching.
You really don't.
You think it doesn't.
Ashton Kutcher, butterfly effect.
Mm-hmm.
Dark start to that movie.
The guy from Boy Meets World too, right?
I watched the start of that movie. I just remembered all the
Vader's
stuff where
son.
he goes back in time. I didn't remember all the dark stuff the first half hour of that movie. Don't rewatch that movie. Please.
Chris, are you going to AJ and Big Justice Day at the FAU game?
I am not going.
That's
I
a
wish
doom.
I could. I'm not. I can't go because it's Saturday. My dad's party is that day. I'm very disappointed.
You should just do what I'm doing, which is skipping it and doing something you'd rather do.
Yeah. Wait, hold on a second. Wait, hold on a second. I also am not attending because I have the FIU Monmouth homecoming game. If you want to listen, go to FIUsports.com/listen. How many of us are actually going to
Just
this
you two
party?
are really not. And Jess. You two and Jess are not. gonna
Roy
be
will show up any place that there is an open bar. That's been
I'm dry right now.
That is.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you for doing what all those people do, which is tell us about it.
Yeah, well, he brought me in. No, he's casting aspersions saying I'm going to drink on this party.
That's true, but it was just a matter of time.
Well, you
before
said you're dry
volunteered
right
it.
now. Will you be tomorrow night?
Hopefully not.
Roy, I'm not saying anything that's inaccurate. The most consistent thing about Meadowlark Media in its entire 20-year anniversary that we are celebrating as a show, if there's an open bar, Roy shows up.
bacon.
That's not an aspersion. That's just a fact.
I pay for my drinks too. I'm an alcoholic, so yeah.
Whoa. I'm sorry.
Wait, can you be dry and an alcoholic?
That's why I'm dry right now. I'm trying not to be.
This got dark.
I'm worried about Amin. Since we're on the subject,
Just in general. Well,
he's
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 been in
worse
the
than I
bathroom
am.
for about an hour and a half now.
Amin didn't show up today, and Amin said to me yesterday, I'm worse on mornings after I haven't had drinks. That's what he said to me yesterday. He said
That's wild.
That's a bit of a sign.
Yes, I'm just generally worried about Amin. I'm also now worried, Chris. You know this better than most. I don't know that we have a more sensitive person around here than your father. There is very little chance that people not showing up to this isn't going to be something that hurts his feelings. And so people not showing up here, you tell me how you think that one's going to go. It's not going to go unnoticed. I can assure you of that.
I believe with them, like they RSVP'd no and like gave their reasons. So like I think people that do it in the right way. I think if you RSVP yes and you don't show up, that's
going to be a Stugotz problem.
That's I think where you're going to get him. I think he's okay if people have stuff like. I think we're okay on that front right now.
Well, if people are RSVP'd and they show up late, that boat's gone.
That's the question. Some people are like, hey, is this boat going somewhere or is it like just staying? Because then they could show up whenever they want. This boat is moving. I keep telling people that. It's a good note for Dan on the front end because I believe for my mom's party we had to keep the boat waiting for Dan and his parents.
Wait, is that true?
He is a VIP.
You've done boat parties before that had to stay waiting?
My mom's.
You have to do that.
Yeah, my mom's 50th, I believe.
What happened?
You have to do that because then you have a party where everyone's asking, "Where's Dan?" You can't have that kind of party.
I believe it was like very quick, like a couple minutes. It
No,
wasn't a
it's
long
totally
wait.
fair criticism, and I will tell you what happened. I made the mistake. This is one of the places where I learned I need to take the car away from my father, and this was many years ago. My father will not allow me to take the car away from him. What happened is he got stuck in the SunPass lane, and he just stayed in it, and we missed the exit because he couldn't get over, and we just kept driving and driving past where it is that we needed to be. And there have been a handful of times over the years where I've realized that I need to get my father a driver, and he simply refuses. And I don't know what you do in those circumstances when an old man who is now 81 years old will not listen to you. What I won't do is go to this with him this time. I will get there on time because I will not be reliant on an 81-year-old man to get me there. But surely this has happened to you guys, right? Where you end up in the SunPass lane and there's no way to get to the exit that you want, because have any of you driven over any of those soft cones that are there in order? Because that's
Those are not soft.
No, you do that? Damn.
No,
I've done of it.
You've done of it?
I believe it, honestly.
That's a big doom.
They
Talking
are
about the
soft.
express lane
They
things?
are
Yeah,
soft.
I mean-
They're not strong. They all give. They all they're all broken because of how many people in Miami do that.
You'd be amazed how little those mark your cars.
So
what?
It's true.
I didn't understand what you said.
They don't mark your
scratch
cars.
Basically, you
as
can
much
hit
as
them
you
and they
think.
do no
Does
damage.
it
is what he's saying.
often enough to have
And then
the
you
data
get home
to tell you
and you go look in front. You're like, huh, nothing.
how many booms.
Doom.
So what time is the party at, and what time does Dan think the party is at?
The party invitation says arrive around 5:30. I believe the boat is leaving at 6.
That around is dangerous.
No. The boat's leaving at 6. Be there by 5:30.
Are you guys
is what
bummed
we're
that you're going to
asking.
miss Bristol Motor Speedway?
Yeah.
It's a playoffs. Night race. I'm going to be watching that at Raymond James Stadium. It's just terrible. Just my luck.
How far out are you guys going on this boat? International waters? The thing is going to get...
Not really something I'm tracking, Billy.
Oh.
Billy, you're excellent at asking questions no one has answers to and bring the show to a
I'm
dead
just
halt.
just a curiosity.
What are you going to be doing Saturday? Where can people find you? Because you're court gesturing on FIU radio again.
Dare you, sir? I am there giving my expert analysis of the FIU Monmouth homecoming game at Pitbull Stadium.
How do they find you? Is the
Go to
question I asked.
FIUsports.com/listen. And maybe there's going to be video this time. We'll see. After the fact. I'm trying to, see if I can trick Thomas into coming along and maybe filming some stuff. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right.
Last time Taylor was supposed to come, and then day of, I said, are you coming or not? Because I need to get your credentials. She's like, I'm more of a Tuesday game guy. I was like, okay, Taylor.
Yeah, that's
Thanks,
how it,
Taylor.
That's how it works around
This guy,
here.
this Taylor, by the way, God, what a rain cloud. He comes in today. He's like, by the way, Aaron Judge has a higher WAR and fruit flop flop than Shohei Ohtani does. It's like, okay, he's like, only one MVP. It's like, yeah, there is only one, and it's not your guy, bud.
I heard you guys yelling at each other before the show here. Can I just show the video?
Guy's a phony baloney over there. Because earlier this week, we were kind of talking around the office, like, so who might want to go, like, you want to go see Shohei? And he's like, for what? We're like, because he's in town. Dodgers are in town. He's like, no thanks.
I heard you guys yelling at each other before the show. Let's show the video of how an important Mariners game got decided against the Yankees the other night. Randy Arozarena is in the batter's box, and this is in extra innings, and it's first and third. They put the runner on second base, so Julio Rodriguez, Seattle's best player, is on third, and Randy Arozarena, their big trade acquisition, swings at a pitch and misses. He's got to make contact here. It's a 2-2 pitch. He swings and misses, and let's watch this together because he loses his bat. He's struck out a lot, and I don't know what Julio Rodriguez was doing off of third base, but he got picked off because he was afraid of the bat and then just wandered away somewhere in a way that like is super boneheaded for an excellent player who plays baseball correctly.
I couldn't go to sleep after that.
Horrible form, cheap tricks by the Yankees, cheap win in extra innings to clinch a playoff spot. Despicable.
Was that Austin Wells behind the dish?